This is the shelter we were just talking about. This consists of a loop, string, a loop of string running up and down that loop, and a stick. You basically put your rucksack on the stick, secure it, bring the loop up, raise the stick, bring the loop down. It's a real quick and easy way of suspending your rucksack off the ground. Nothing wrong with the ground. It will get slowed up and damp and eventually rot the bottom if you're doing it in a lot of wet weather. This is a shelter and bed I've made. It basically consists of logs and rocks at the base, bringing it up to the appropriate level, which is just above the knees. That gives it a nice comfortable height to use as a seat. This is my mate Dale. He's going to be doing some filming. Yeah. So the legs can just come off the ground a little bit and relax, or stretch out in front of you. I've tied off the logs here by inverting two hazels and tying them off just to stop them from slipping and falling apart, and it just adds stability. And you can stretch out nicely here. I've also added the top bar. This is made of willow and it's white. Looks a bit dark in this light actually, but it's a nice white wood, so I can see it in the dark with my torch easily so I don't bump my head in the night. And I also stripped the bark off, which I've used for the string on the construction of the shelter. It gives it a nice tough. You can make it more durable by boiling it with its own bark, scraping the green off and stuff like that. But for here and now uses, it's brilliant for doing that. On the floor here, you notice I got a little burnt out log and a few stones. The stones are there just in case I get any slippage during the night and I don't want to go off hunting in the middle of the dark looking for stones. I can replace a stone what maybe crumbles or slips out of place easily. And the lump of wood there just to hold my cup of tea, so I'm not looking or spilling my tea inside my shelter, usually inside my sleeping bag, when I'm on my cocoa at the end of the night. Also, if I'm just sat here, I can have an Exi-block burner on it, that's the black mark, and just have a nice comfortable sit instead of being on the damp ground. We've already talked about the raised bed, now we're going to put a roof up. Top of the rucksack should always be your tarp, ready to go. I usually carry my tarp ready stringed. I find it the most practical way of doing it. And whenever setting your tarp up, whichever tree you're going to come across, I've got this one and this one, start with the thickest, because I can guarantee you, start with the thinnest, by the time you walk around the big fat tree, you won't have enough string. The height of where you set the string will depend what you're using it for. If it's a working shelter, where you're going to be up and down and doing stuff underneath it, set it high so you don't hit your head. If it's just a sleeping shelter, set it about shoulder to waist height. I generally use quick release knots for breaking down. And my hammock stayed in place, you may have noticed. And what I've got set up on these here is some pratic knots. This means it slides reasonably easy when you pick your slide gun on both ends. But when the tarp moves in the wind, they won't move. And they're tied off to the eyelets. So, as you can see, I've already got string tied to mine. Very popular are bungees. The problem with bungees, because they're elasticated, and you put them on an attachment, like so, and under tension, they can fly out and hit you in the eye. So I'm not a big fan of these, but they do have their place. They also are an extra bit of weight compared to string. And in a true survival emergency, the string can be broken down to be used as other things, where these can't be used as much. Up now, I've set it up over top of the pole. And what I can do off here, I can hang my lantern, my head torch, any book I'm reading. I can tie off some loops of string and hang equipment like damp socks and things like that to dry inside the shelter underneath the roof. So that's useful. If you didn't have a pole put up, you could obviously run another piece of string underneath and do it exactly the same way. I've got this one a little bit high on the front because I'm going to be going in and out a fair bit like we talked about, so I'm not banging my head, and a little bit low at the back. If it was a bit more windy, I'd drop that right down and have almost a blank wall behind me. But when I'm led here, I do like to look out and see the environment. You always hear noises, you want to have a quick look, go to that destination and things like that. So you can have a good look round all round. But it's a nice comfy environment. I'm a great fan of tarps. There's 101 uses you can use them, and we're going to show you a couple more after this. I've also left this a little bit slacker than I normally would. It doesn't take a second to retighten it, but it's going to be a bit rainy today, so hopefully we're going to catch some rain in here. And before I go, I'm going to top up my water bottle from this angle by draining it off, giving it a good shake, drying it and packing it